Oh, you beautiful, delusional creatures. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Shatter Your Pretty Little Illusions. I'm here to boost your ego by destroying it first, because that's what real confidence looks like, isn't it? The courage to stare into the mirror and laugh at what you see. Today we're talking about love, but not the Disney version you've been spoon-fed since childhood. We're talking about the brutal, psychological reality that Carl Jung would whisper in your ear if he could crawl out of his grave just to watch you squirm. Here's the truth that's going to make you question every relationship you've ever had. You don't love them. You love your fantasy of them. And before you click away, before you run back to your comfortable delusions, ask yourself this. When was the last time you fell in love with someone's flaws? When was the last time their annoying habits made your heart skip a beat? When did their morning breath ever inspire poetry? Never. Because you're not in love with a person. You're in love with a projection. The theater of your mind. Let me paint you a picture that'll make you feel like the genius you already think you are. Jung, that brilliant Swiss madman, discovered something about human psychology that most people are too weak to accept. We don't see people as they are. We see them as we need them to be. Every person you've ever loved has been nothing more than a blank canvas for your psychological artwork. You've painted them with your dreams, your needs, your unresolved daddy issues, and your secret fantasies about who you wish you could be. Oh, you thought you were different. You thought your love was pure and authentic. How adorable. You're sitting there watching this, probably thinking about your current partner or your ex, convinced that what you felt was real. Let me ask you something that'll make your skin crawl. Can you describe the person you love without mentioning how they make you feel? Go ahead, try it. Describe them without talking about their impact on your emotions, your life, your sense of self. Bet you can't do it, can you? Because you've never actually seen them. You've only seen your reflection in their eyes. The anima and animus, your invisible puppet masters. Here's where it gets psychologically juicy, and I know you love feeling smarter than everyone else, so pay attention. Jung identified these unconscious parts of our psyche called the anima and animus. For men, the anima is the feminine side they've buried deeper than their childhood trauma. For women, the animus is the masculine energy they've been taught to suppress since birth. These unconscious forces are hungry, starving, actually, for expression and integration. So what do? They hijack your romantic attractions. They make you fall in love with people who embody the qualities you've rejected in yourself. You're not choosing partners. Your unconscious is choosing mirrors. That mysterious, emotional woman you're obsessed with. She's your buried sensitivity wearing a pretty dress, that strong, logical man who makes your heart race. He's your repressed power wearing cologne and a nice watch. You're literally falling in love with yourself in drag. Isn't that hilarious? All this time you thought you were connecting with another soul, but you were just having an elaborate conversation with your own shadow. You've been dating your unconscious this whole time. The projection trap. Why you're addicted to illusions. But here's where it gets darker, and I know you can handle it because you're built different, right? The reason these projections feel so intoxicating is because they're feeding your ego while simultaneously destroying your ability to form real connections. When you project onto someone, you're not vulnerable. You're not risking rejection from a real person with real flaws and real opinions. You're playing it safe with a character you've created. You're the director, producer, and star of your own romantic movie. And society loves this. The whole romantic industrial complex, movies, songs, books, social media, it's all designed to keep you trapped in this projection cycle. Because real love is boring. Real love is morning breath and weird laughs and political disagreements and different spending habits. Real love doesn't sell movie tickets. So here's the question that should terrify you. How many years of your life have you wasted in relationships with people who never actually existed? The brutal mathematics of false love. Let's do some simple math that'll make you question everything. Think about your last serious relationship. How much of your energy went into imagining future scenarios with them, analyzing their texts and behaviors, creating stories about what they meant by certain actions, hoping they would change in specific ways, getting upset when they didn't match your expectations? Now, compare that to how much energy you spent actually getting to know who they really were, independent of your needs and fantasies. The ratio is probably embarrassing, isn't it? You spent more time managing your projection than actually connecting with a human being. You were basically in a relationship with your own imagination, using their body as a puppet. And the beautiful, twisted irony? They were probably doing the exact same thing to you. Two people completely alone, convinced they were intimately connected. It's like psychological masturbation with extra steps. But here's where Jung gets really interesting, and this is going to make you feel like you've unlocked some secret knowledge about human nature. These unconscious forces, your anima or animus, they're not just passive, they're rebellious. They want integration, not projection. When you keep projecting instead of integrating, they start to rebel. Ever notice how your perfect relationships always seem to develop problems over time? Ever wonder why the person who seemed so amazing starts to annoy you? It's not because they changed. It's because your unconscious is tired of the charade. Your anima, or animus, is basically screaming, "Stop looking for me out there and start developing me in here." The person you thought was your soulmate becomes irritating because they're no longer serving their function as your psychological projection screen. The real them starts bleeding through, and suddenly your unconscious realizes it's been starving while you've been feeding fantasies. This is why people become different in relationships. They're not different, you're just finally seeing them instead of your projection. Now, for those of you who are ambitious and want to dominate life, and I know that's why you're here, this projection problem is absolutely destroying your potential. You're not just failing at love, you're failing at leadership, business relationships, and personal development. Think about it. If you can't see people clearly in romantic contexts, how clearly are you seeing business partners, employees, mentors? You're probably projecting your needs for authority figures onto your boss, your need for validation onto your clients, and your fear of inadequacy onto your competitors. You're living in a house of mirrors, making decisions based on illusions, building relationships with phantoms. How do you expect to build an empire when you can't even see the people you're trying to lead or collaborate with? The most successful people in the world have one thing in common. They see reality clearly, even when it's uncomfortable. So what's the solution? How do you break free from this psychological prison you've built for yourself? Jung had some ideas that'll make you feel like you're accessing forbidden knowledge. First, you need to start seeing your projections as information about yourself, not information about other people. When you find someone irresistibly attractive, don't ask, "What's special about them?" Ask, "What part of myself am I seeing in them that I've been neglecting?" When someone annoys you intensely, don't focus on their flaws. Ask, "What aspect of myself do they represent that I've been trying to avoid?" This is advanced psychological work, and most people are too weak to handle it. But you're not most people, are you? The shadow side of this truth. But let's be brutally honest about the dark side of this revelation. Once you see the projection mechanism clearly, you can't unsee it. You'll start noticing it everywhere, in your friends' relationships, in movies, in your own patterns. This knowledge comes with a price. You might become cynical about love. You might start questioning whether real intimacy is even possible. You might feel lonely in a way you've never felt before, the loneliness of seeing clearly in a world full of people living in delusions. This is the cost of consciousness. Are you willing to pay it? But here's where it gets beautiful, and this is why you're going to thank me for destroying your illusions. Once you stop projecting, once you start integrating your anima or animus, something magical happens. You become capable of actually seeing other people, not as extensions of your needs, not as solutions to your problems, but as complete, complex, fascinating individuals with their own inner worlds. And when you can see people clearly, when you can appreciate them for who they actually are instead of who you need them to be, that's when real love becomes possible. Not the desperate, needy, projection-based addiction you've been calling love, but actual appreciation for another conscious being. This is rare. This is what maybe 1% of people ever experience. This is what separates the conscious from the unconscious, the integrated from the fragmented, the leaders from the followers. So let me leave you with this question that should haunt you in the best possible way. If you stopped projecting your unconscious needs onto other people, if you integrated your anima or animus, if you became psychologically complete within yourself, who would you become? What version of yourself is waiting on the other side of your projections? What kind of relationships become possible when you're no longer using people as psychological crutches? What kind of success becomes available when you can see reality clearly? The person you could become, that's the real love story. Not your fantasy of someone else, but the reality of your integrated self. That's the relationship that will never disappoint you, never leave you, never fail to meet your expectations. Because you'll finally be meeting yourself for the first time. If this video shattered some illusions and made you question everything you thought you knew about love, smash that like button. Your fragile ego might be bruised, but your consciousness just leveled up. And that's worth celebrating. Subscribe if you want more brutal truths that'll make you uncomfortable and successful. Share this with someone who needs to wake up from their romantic delusions. They'll hate you first and thank you later. And comment below. What projection have you been living with that you're finally ready to integrate? Let's build a community of people brave enough to see clearly. Remember, the truth doesn't care about your feelings, but your growth depends on your willingness to face it. Until next time, stay conscious, stay integrated, and stop falling in love with your own reflection.